Good evening, everybody. I am just going to take a few moments to hopefully be able to invite some people to the reading this evening. This is the music of Kamyab Sadei, and it is called Went. Good evening. I'm going to try and share this in the only way I know how. So give me 2 seconds. Good evening, everybody, while I just invite some people along. I hope you really... Oh no, it's... Oh my goodness. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to plug in my phone and it's just telling me that I've got a low battery. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my phone cable, I hope. Typical, isn't it? This is always the things that Joanna does. What did I do with my phone cable, everyone? I'll be back with you in a minute. خنده بی مثل او بر دل دکانی هم زده پنهان کرده در دل و مغز و روانم تو را So, sorry about that. It said I had a low battery. I haven't plugged it in yet. This is so typical. Honestly, this happens to me all the time. So, let me plug that in. There we go. Hopefully, I won't lose you all now. Right, now where were we? Now that Joanna's all out of breath, I'm just going to invite some people along. I hope you're all very well this evening. For those of you who didn't join in earlier, this is the music of Kamyab Sadei, who is writing music for us for our 1001 Nights reading. And, oh, there we go, free events, that's a good one, isn't it? Dustin Hoffman's masterclass. I don't think I'll invite him along. So we'll just do a few of these. How beautiful. I will be with you in a minute, everybody. I am just inviting some people to the reading so that they know that they can come and watch us if they want to. And so, man, if you are watching, feel free to invite the people that I haven't invited yet. Thank you for the likes, everyone, so far. I'm going to invite them today. Oh, Fiona. I'm going to invite them. It's so difficult. It takes such a long time to go through everybody, but I know who I want to really, really invite. I'm sure they were at the top. Right, Forums in Vienna. Let's invite them. Thanks very much for the like, Tim. Hello, good evening. Good evening, everybody. It's so lovely to see you this evening. That's a good one. So I've got to just get down to the bottom because there's one group that I love writing to, because I just like the title. The title is Passion for Books, and I love the title Passion for Books. So those guys have always got to be on my invitation list. There they are. There they are. All right. So let me turn this down a little bit, everybody. Good evening. The music, my name, I seem to have moved a little bit. My name is Joanna Godwin Seidel. I am going to be your host this evening. The music you have been listening to while I set up was by Kamiab Sadei, who is writing music for us right now, probably not right now as I speak, but over the last few weeks he's been writing music for us as he's creating a whole album for the 1001 Nights reading. I am your host this evening. I run the Vienna Theatre Project. For those of you who've never listened to us before, we started this reading in the first lockdown here in Vienna, Austria, which is where Saman and I read from. We are in our current second lockdown. We used to read at 9:45 in the evening. We're now reading at 9 o'clock because as of 8 o'clock in the evening until 6 o'clock in the morning, there is a curfew. So what I wanted to do today for you first, before I actually get into the reading proper, was read a couple of poems, because for those of you who clocked on to the fact last week who listened in, I absolutely love poems. And as much of 1001 Nights is about love too, I thought I would read you some love poems. Well, the first one is very easy because actually it's a British love poem. I'm just going to turn camera down a little bit. It's a British love poem by a very, very famous playwright and very, very famous British author, William Shakespeare. Hi, Saman. Good evening. Hi, Johanna. By a very famous British author called William Shakespeare. Some of you will know him very, very well. And then afterwards, I looked on the net to try and find if I could see some love poems from Persian poets. And I found some, and of course they're translated into English, and we all know that often beautiful language in its mother tongue is much nicer than when it's translated into other languages. For example, I am not too keen on Shakespeare written in English. That's why I wanted to give you Shakespeare in English first before I read you some Persian poetry, and I'm going to do that quickly, and then I'm going to read you 2 Persian poems, and then we're going to get on with a reading proper. I hope this evening finds you very, very well. It's been a cold, misty day in Vienna, and Saman, read your emails because I got some good news for you. So this is sonnet number 40, and sonnet number 40 I actually read years and years and years ago. I was asked to do a video for a fashion show, and the day before, I was told just to turn up. So I turned up, and I have to admit, I had been out at a party until 6 o'clock in the morning. So I was slightly exhausted and very, very well, I was very tired basically. And my voice was very deep and husky, but I was told I was going to be reading a Shakespeare sonnet. And I thought, well, it doesn't matter what I look like because at least my voice will be husky and that'll be absolutely perfect for reading. And I walked through the door to do the reading for this film that was going to be shown at the Vienna Fashion Week. And this production manager looked at me as I walked through the door and said, over there to fashion, to makeup and hair, please. And I went, no makeup and hair. I've just come here to read. And she says, you're Joanna. And I said, yes, I'm Joanna. And she goes, over there for hair and makeup. And I was like, no, I've just come to read. She goes, yes, I know, you're reading in front of the camera. I said, I had no idea I was doing that. I looked like a mess. You can see it in the video. They did their best. But anyway, this was the beautiful reading that I did, the beautiful poem I read. I'm just going to put Cameo back on for this reading. And it is sonnet number 40. And it's called Take All My Loves, My Love. Yea, take them all. I'm going to put this on my lap for a minute. It's going to give me a horrible blue light, but there we go. So, sonnet number 40 from William Shakespeare. Take all my loves, my love. Yea, take them all. What hast thou then more than thou hadst before? No love, my love, that thou mayest true love call. All mine was thine before thou hadst this more. Then if for my love thou my love receivest, I cannot blame thee, for my love thou usest. But yet be blamed if thou this self deceivest, my wilful taste of what thyself refusest. I do forgive thy robbery, gentle thief, although thou steal all my poverty. And yet love knows it is a greater grief to bear love's wrong than hate's known injury. Lascivious grace, in whom all ill well shows, kill me with spites, yet we must not be foes. So that was a little sonnet, number 40, by William Shakespeare. And here are my two Persian poems. And I do forgive you. Remember, these are translations into English, and they do not always go brilliantly well. So here we go. So this is by a very famous, and I do apologize for bastardizing the names potentially. This is by a famous Persian poet called Raba'a. At last, I was recaptured by his love. Resisting had no effect. Love is like an ocean without a shore. How can one swim there, O wise one? Love must be taken right to the end. Many unsuitable things must be accepted. Ugliness must be seen as if it were good. Poison must be taken as if it were sugar. I was disobedient and did not understand. The harder you pull, the tighter the rope. And then, thank you very much for the hearts. And then I have one beautiful, very short, small poem, which I really, really loved, actually, because I think this sometimes says it all. And again, I hope I don't pronounce it. I do apologize for mispronouncing the name, and I should have checked it beforehand, but I only discovered this like 11 minutes ago. It is by a poet called Forugh Farrokhzad, and it goes like this. Why do you ask me the colour of his eyes? When did the colour of his eyes ever capture me? The fire that sparked from his eyes was what ensnared this mad heart. For those of you who have just joined us, my name is Joanna Godwin Seidel. I am your host this evening for 1001 1001 Nights. I've got to tap that one out of my head. The music you'll be listening to for a while in the background is by Kami Absadeyi. Please feel free to look him up on YouTube. I will post a link to tonight's music on viennatheatreproject.com, on Vienna Theatre Project, the Facebook account, after the end of this reading. Thank you very much for listening. Hi, Mahmoud. Hi, Faisal. Hi, oh, I'm sorry, I can't read this because it's right. Karen, hi, I think that's right. Hi, everybody. Good evening. It's so lovely to read for you this evening. So, without further ado, I shall get on with it, shall I? Let's see. I'm going to turn him down a little bit there. Okay. So, now, when it was the 102nd night, and I'm going to give it myself because that candle's going to... Sorry about that, but I need all the light I can get. Right, here we go. She said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when Kamar al-Zaman had repeated to his father these verses, he wept and complained and groaned from a wounded heart, and added these lines: Beware that eye-glance which hath magic might. Wherever turn those orbs its bar our flight. Nor be deceived by low sweet voice that breeds a fever festering in the heart and sprite. So soft that silky skin, were rose to touch it, she'd cry and teardrops rain for pain and fright. Did Sophia e'en in sleep pass o'er her land? Scented, he'd choose to dwell in scented sight. Her necklets vie with tinkling of her belt. Her wrists strike either wristlet dumb with spite. When would her bangles bust those rings in ear? Under the lover's eyne high mysteries light. I've blame for love of her, nor pardon claim. Eyes are not profiting, which lack foresight. Heaven strip thee, blame are mine, unjust art thou. Before this fawn most every eye low bow. After which he said, By Allah, O my father, I cannot endure to be parted from her even for an hour. The king smote hand upon hand and exclaimed, There is no majesty, and there is no might save in Allah the glorious, the great. No cunning contrivance can profit us in this affair. Then he took his son by the hand and carried him to the palace, where Kamar al-Zaman lay down on the bed of languor, and the king sat at his head, weeping and mourning over him, and leaving him not. Night or day, till at last the wazir came in to him and said, O king of the age and the time, how long wilt thou remain shut up with thy son, and hide thyself from thy troops? Haply the order of thy realm may be deranged by reason of thine absence from thy grandees and officers of state. It behoveth the man of understanding, if he have various wounds in his body, to apply him first to medicine the most dangerous. So it is my counsel to thee, that thou remove thy son from this place to the pavilion, which is the palace overlooking the sea, and shut thyself up with him there, setting apart in every week 2 days, Thursday and Monday, for state receptions and progresses and reviews. On these days, let thine emirs and wazirs and chamberlains and viceroys and high officials and grandees of the realm and the rest of the levies and the lieges have access to thee and submit their affairs to thee. Do thou their needs and judge among them, and give and take with them, and bid and forbid, and the rest of the week thou shalt pass with thy son Kamar al-Zaman, and cease not thus doing till Allah shall vouchsafe relief to you twain. Think not, O king, that thou art safe from the shifts of time and the strokes of change, which come like a traveller in the night. For the wise man is ever on his guard. And how well, saith the poet, thou deemedst well of time when days went well, and fearest not what ills might bring thee fate. The nights so fair and restful cozen thee, for peaceful nights bring woes of heavy weight. O children of mankind whom time befriends, beware of time's deceits, or soon or late. When the Sultan heard his wazir's words, he saw that they were right, and deemed his counsel wise, and it had effect upon him, for he feared lest the order of the state be deranged. So he rose at once, and bade transport for his son from his sick room to the pavilion in the palace overlooking the sea. Now this palace was girt round by the waters, and was approached by a causeway 20 cubits wide. It had windows on all sides commanding an ocean view. Its floors were paved with parti-coloured marbles, and its ceiling was painted in the richest pigments and figured with gold and lapis lazuli. They furnished it for Kamar al-Zaman with splendid upholstery, embroidered rugs, and carpets of the richest silk. They clove the walls with choice brocades and hung curtains bespangled with gems of price. In the midst, they set him a couch of juniper wood inlaid with pearls and jewels, and Kamar al-Zaman sat down thereon. But the excess of his concern and passion for the young lady had wasted his charms and emaciated his body. He could neither eat nor drink nor sleep, and he was like a man who had been sick 20 years of sore sickness. His father seated himself at his head, grieving for him with the deepest grief, and every Monday and Thursday he gave his wazirs and emirs and chamberlains and viceroys and lords of the realm and levies and the rest of his lieges leave to come up to him in the pavilion. So they entered and did their several service and duties and abode with him till the end of the day, when they went their ways, and the king returned to his son in the pavilion, whom he had left not night nor day. And he ceased not doing on this wise for many days and nights. Such was the case with Kamar al-Zaman, son of King Shahriman. But as regards Princess Budur, daughter of King Gayur, lord of the Isles and the 7 palaces, when the 2 jinns bore her up and laid her on her bed, she slept till daybreak, when she woke and sitting upright looked right and left, but saw not the youth who had lain in her bosom. At this, her victuals fluttered, her reason fled, and she shrieked a loud shriek, which awoke all her slave girls and nurses and dunas. They flocked into her, and the chief of them came forward and asked, "What aileth thee, O my lady? Answered the princess, O wretched old woman, where is my beloved, the handsome youth who lay last night in my bosom? Tell me whither he is gone. Now, when the duenna heard this, the light starkened in her sight, and she feared from her mischief with sore affright, and said to her, O, my lady Budur, what unseemly words are these? Cried the princess, Woe to thee, pestilent crone that thou art! I ask thee again, where is my beloved, the goodly youth with the shining face and the slender form, the jetty eyes and the joined eyebrows, who lay with me last night from supper tide until near daybreak? She rejoined, By Allah, O my lady, I have never seen no young man, nor any other. I conjure thee, carry not this unseemly jest too far, lest we all lose our lives, for perhaps the joke may come to thy father's ears, and who shall then deliver us from his hand? And Scheherazade perceived the dawn of day, and ceased saying her permitted say. And I shall continue with the next night. And when it was the 193rd night, Scheherazade said, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that the duenna bespake the lady Budur in these words, Allah upon thee, O my lady, carry not this unseemly jest too far, for perhaps it may come to thy father's ears, and who shall then deliver us from his hand? The princess rejoined, In very sooth, a youth lay with me last night, one of the fairest faced of men. Exclaimed the duenna, Heaven preserve thy reason, indeed no one lay with thee last night. Thereupon the princess looked at her hand, and finding Kamar al-Zaman's seal ring on her finger instead of her own, said to her, Woe to thee, thou accursed, thou traitress! Wilt thou lie to me and tell me that none lay with me last night, and swear to me a falsehood in the name of the Lord? Replied the duenna, By Allah, I do not lie to thee, nor have I sworn falsely. Then the princess was incensed by her words, and, drawing a sword she had by her, she smote the old woman with it and slew her. Whereupon the eunuch and the waiting women and the concubines cried out at her and ran to her father, and without stay or delay acquainted him with her case. So the king went to her and asked, O my daughter, what aileth thee? And she answered, O my father, where is the youth who lay with me last night? Then her reason fled from her head, and she cast her eyes right and left, and rent her raiment even to the skirt. When her sire saw this, he bade the women lay hands on her. So they seized her and manacled her. Then putting a chain of iron about her neck, made her fast to one of the palace windows, and there left her. Thus far concerning Princess Budur. But as regards her father, King Gayur, the world was straitened upon him when he saw what had befallen his daughter, for that he loved her, and her case was not a little grievous to him. So he summoned on it the doctors and astrologers and men skilled in talisman writing, and said to them, Whoso healeth my daughter of what ill she hath, I will marry him to her, and cureth her not, I will strike off his head and hang it over her palace gate. Accordingly, all who went into her but failed to heal her, he beheaded and hung their heads over the palace gates, till he had beheaded on her account 40 doctors and crucified 40 astrologers. Wherefore the general held aloof from her, all the physicians having failed to medicine her malady, and her case was a puzzle to the men of science and the adepts in Kabbalistic characters. And as for her longing and passion redoubled, and love and distraction were sore upon her, she poured forth tears and repeated these couplets. My fondness, O my moon, for thee my foeman is, and to thy comradeship the nights my thought compel. In gloom I bide with fire that flames below my ribs, whose I make comparison with heat of hell. I'm plagued with sorest stress of pine and ecstasy, nor clearest noontide can that horrid pain dispel. Then she sighed and repeated these also. Salams from me to friends in every steed. Indeed, to all dear friends do I incline. Salams, but not salams that bid adieu. Salams that growth of good for you design. I love you, dear, indeed, nor less your land, but I bide, far from every need of mine. And when the Lady Budur ceased repeating her poetry, she wept till her eyes waxed sore, and her cheeks changed form and hue, and in this condition she continued 3 years. Now, she had a foster brother by name of Marzawan, who was travelling in far lands and absent from her the whole of this time. He loved her with an exceeding love, passing the love of brothers. So when he came back, he went in to his mother and asked for his sister, the Princess Budur. She answered him, O my son, thy sister hath been smitten with madness, and have passed these 3 years with a chain of iron about her neck, and all the physicians and men of science have failed of healing her. When Marzawan heard these words, he said, I must needs go to her. Peradventure I may discover what she hath, and be able to medicine her. And his mother replied, Needs must thou visit her, but wait till tomorrow, that I may contrive something to suit thy case. Then she went afoot to the palace of Lady Budur, and accosting the eunuch in charge of the gates, made him a present, and said to him, I have a daughter, who was brought up with thy mistress, and since then I married her. And when that befell the princess which befell her, she became troubled and sore concerned, and I desire of thy favour that my daughter may go in to her for an hour and look on her, then return whence she came, so none shall know of it. Quoth the eunuch, this may not be except by night, after the king hath visited his child and gone away. Then come thou and thy daughter. So she kissed the eunuch's hand and, returning home, waited till the morrow at nightfall. And when it was time, she arose and sought her son Marzawan and attired him in woman's apparel. Then, taking his hand in hers, led him towards the palace, and ceased not walking with him till she came upon the eunuch, after the sultan had ended his visit to the princess. Now, when the eunuch saw her, he rose to her and said, enter, but do not prolong thy stay. So they went in, and when Marzawan beheld the Lady Budur in the aforesaid plight, he saluted her, after his mother had doffed his woman's garb. Then he took out their statute books he had brought with him, and lighting a wax candle, he began to write certain conjurations. Thereupon the princess looked at him, and recognizing him, said, O my brother, thou hast been absent on thy travels, and thy news have been cut off from us. He replied, true, but Allah hath brought me back safe and sound, and I am now minded to set out again, nor hath aught delayed me but the news I hear of thee. Wherefore my heart burned for thee, and I came to thee, so haply I may free thee of thy malady. She rejoined, O my brother, thinkest thou it is a madness that aileth me? Yes, answered he. And she said, not so. By Allah, 'tis even as saith the poet. Quoth they, thou ravest on him thou lovest. Quoth I, the sweets of love are only for the insane. Love never maketh time his friend befriend. Only the jinn struck white such boon can gain. Well, yes, I'm mad. Bring him who madded me, and, if he cure my madness, blame restrain. Then she let Marzawan know that she was love-daft, and he said, tell me concerning thy tale and what befell thee. Haply there may be in my hand something which shall be a means of deliverance for thee. And Scheherazade perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. So let's see. Bring back some beautiful music for you as I leave you on this beautiful evening. My dear friends, I do hope that you are looking after yourselves very well. It has been an absolute pleasure reading for you this evening as usual. Don't forget to mask up, wash your hands and disinfect, and keep safe distances from people. I can only implore on how important that is from histories that I am unfortunately aware of, which I won't go into here. But I do hope you are keeping very, very safe. Saman will be back with you tomorrow evening, and we will meet again on Friday. I wish you all, if it is the beginning of your day, a very beautiful day, a very beautiful evening, and if you're about to go to bed, then I wish you the sweetest, most beautifulest dreams, and we will see each other very soon. It is many blessings from me, many salams, and I wish you all a very, very good night. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Take care.